The latest developments in the Middle East have stunned observers across the world as Israel took the unprecedented step of launching airstrikes on Qatar. Capital Doha, targeting what the Israeli Defense Forces described as a Hamas command and logistics hub. This move has sparked global debate, raised questions about the escalation of the conflict, and marked a dramatic expansion of the Gaza war beyond its traditional borders. To understand the significance of this action, it's essential to break down the reasoning behind Israel's strike, the military and political context surrounding it, the features of the operation itself, and the wider implications it carries not only for the region but also for international relations and global stability. Israel has always maintained the doctrine of preemptive strikes when it comes to threats that it believes endanger its security. Historically, this has been seen in its operations against neighboring states and militant organizations, where the IDF acts decisively to neutralize adversaries before they can inflict damage. In this case, the airstrikes in Doha were reportedly motivated by intelligence, suggesting that Hamas had established operational facilities, safe houses, and even command infrastructure in Qatar. For years, Qatar has been accused by some countries of providing financial and political support to Hamas, though Doha has defended itself by saying its involvement is humanitarian in nature. Israel, however, seemed to interpret the presence of Hamas figures in Doha as a red line crossed, prompting this bold attack from a purely military perspective. The operation showcased the IDF's advanced capabilities in terms of precision strikes, long-range air power, and intelligence fusion. Israeli fighter jets, believed to be F-35 Ayadir stealth aircraft, carried out the strikes deep inside Qatari territory, demonstrating not only their ability to penetrate air defense networks, but also to hit targets with surgical accuracy. These jets are modified variants of the American F-35, customized with Israeli avionics and electronic warfare systems. Their low radar signature, long range, and networked targeting systems make them ideal for high-risk missions such as this one. The ability to deploy them from bases in Israel and still reach Doha while maintaining stealth demonstrates the IDF's reach and confidence in its logistical planning. One of the striking features of the attack was the timing. It came during a period of heightened tension in Gaza, with Israel conducting sustained operations against Hamas positions in the Strip, extending the battlefield. Doha seemed like an unexpected escalation, but analysts suggest it was meant to send a very clear message that Israel is willing to hit Hamas wherever it operates, regardless of geography. This is not just about Gaza anymore. It's about neutralizing what Israel perceives as a transnational threat. By targeting Doha, Israel effectively broke an unwritten rule of containment and showed that its war against Hamas has no borders. This is a major shift in doctrine and a bold statement of intent. The IDF outlined three primary reasons for the strike. First was the intelligence that Hamas operatives were using Doha as a base for coordinating logistics, weapons financing, and communications with cells in Gaza. Second was the flow of funds, with reports alleging that Qatari-based accounts were facilitating the transfer of millions of dollars to Hamas' military wing. Israel has always prioritized cutting off financial lifelines as a strategy to weaken its adversaries. And third, the strike was intended as a deterrent, a show of strength aimed not only at Hamas but also at Qatar and other regional actors who may consider providing sanctuary to groups opposed to Israel. The message was clear: hosting or enabling, Hamas carries consequences. To put this into a broader strategic context, Israel has been fighting a multi-front war of sorts. With Gaza in the south, Hezbollah in the north, and growing unrest in the West Bank, the IDF is stretched across multiple theaters. By hitting Doha, Israel is trying to simplify the battlefield by cutting off external enablers. This mirrors tactics seen in other conflicts, where taking out command and supply nodes far from the front lines can reduce the enemy's capacity to sustain prolonged resistance. The Doha strike is not only symbolic, but also potentially crippling to Hamas' ability to coordinate international funding and strategy. The design of the operation highlighted Israel's reliance on multi-domain integration. It is widely believed that Mossad and Unit 8200, Israel's elite cyber intelligence unit, played a key role in tracking Hamas operatives in Qatar, mapping their movements and confirming the locations of safe houses. Satellite, reconnaissance, and electronic surveillance would have provided real-time data, enabling the Air Force to strike with maximum precision and minimal collateral damage. This integration of human intelligence, cyber tools, and satellite assets reflects the IDF's modern warfare doctrine, where every mission is data-driven, layered, and supported by multiple branches of the defense ecosystem from a performance standpoint. The mission demonstrated Israel's capacity for deep strike operations. The distance from Israel to Doha is roughly 1,800 kilometers round trip, which required either aerial refueling or highly efficient fuel management. This hints at the possibility that Israeli KC-46 Pegasus or KC-707 tanker aircraft supported the mission, allowing the F-35s to remain in stealth mode while extending their operational endurance. This logistical success underlines the IDF's ability to project power beyond its immediate neighborhood, placing not only Gaza and Lebanon, but also Gulf capitals within reach of its arsenal. This kind of operational range is a unique selling point of the IDF, especially when compared with other regional powers whose air forces may lack such reach and coordination. The psychological dimension of the attack is equally important. For Hamas, seeing its supposed safe haven in Doha, compromise will have a demoralizing effect. Safe zones are crucial for militant groups to plan, regroup, and operate without fear of attack. By striking in the heart of Qatar's capital, Israel has disrupted that sense of security and forced Hamas operatives to reconsider their networks and mobility. For Qatar, the attack is a political humiliation, as it exposes the risks of its long-standing relationship with Hamas. For the wider Arab world, it raises serious questions about sovereignty, alliances, and the possibility that Israeli air power could be unleashed on other capitals under similar justifications. Critics, however, argue that the move risks igniting a broader regional conflict. Qatar is home to one of the largest U.S. military bases in the Middle East, Al Udeid Air Base, which hosts thousands of American troops and advanced aircraft. Any Israeli strike in Qatar runs the risk of straining Israel's relationship with the U.S., or at least creating friction with Washington, which has maintained a delicate balance in its Gulf alliances. The strike also challenges the international community, as it sets a precedent for cross-border military actions in Gulf states that have previously been considered neutral zones in the Israel-Palestine conflict. While Israel frames it as a counterterrorism operation, others view it as a destabilizing escalation that could spread the war into territories previously untouched. By direct military engagement, looking at the unique selling points of this operation, it's clear that Israel leveraged its cutting-edge defense technologies, superior intelligence, integration, and bold strategic doctrine to carry out a mission that most other nations would hesitate to attempt. The use of the F-35I, Adir stands out as a symbol of Israel's technological edge, allowing it to operate undetected across vast distances. The synchronization between intelligence gathering and combat execution is another defining feature, showing how Israel has refined the art of precision warfare to avoid large-scale collateral damage while maximizing impact. And finally, the strike serves as a political tool as much as a military one. Designed to shift the calculus of both Hamas and its supporters, the global reaction has been mixed, with some nations condemning the strike as a violation of Qatari sovereignty, while others quietly acknowledge Israel's right to defend itself. The United States has been cautious in its response, emphasizing the need for de-escalation, but not outright condemning the IDF's actions, perhaps reflecting its own complicated stance on Hamas and Qatar. Meanwhile, Arab states are under pressure to respond, with some viewing the strike as a dangerous precedent, while others may secretly welcome any move that weakens Hamas. This divergence in responses underscores how polarizing the conflict has become and how difficult it is for the international community to agree on a unified position. The long-term impact of the strike will depend on how Qatar chooses to respond. If Doha doubles down on its support for Hamas, Israel may continue its operations, potentially striking again. If Qatar seeks to distance itself, the strike may succeed in isolating Hamas further and cutting off one of its major external lifelines. For Hamas, the loss of Doha as a safe hub is a major setback, forcing it to relocate and adapt. For Israel, the strike may buy short-term tactical gains, but also risks entangling it in broader geopolitical tensions with Gulf states, Iran, and even the US. This moment marks a new chapter in the Gaza conflict by extending the war to Doha. Israel has redefined the scope of its confrontation with Hamas. No longer confined to the narrow geography of Gaza or southern Lebanon, the battlefield now potentially spans the wider Middle East. The IDF's decision to strike so far from home reveals both confidence in its military capabilities and a willingness to embrace risk in pursuit of strategic objectives. Whether this gamble pays off remains to be seen, but it has undoubtedly reshaped the conversation about the Gaza war and its potential to spill over into neighboring countries and even global politics.